Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into some recent technical analysis of the crypto market.
Yeah, we've got charts, indicators, the works, all based on a pretty detailed market update video.
Focusing specifically on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Chainlink.
Exactly. And the mission here is really to unpack what these charts are telling us.
Like, what's the momentum looking like right now? Where are those key support and resistance spots?
And maybe get a sense of where things might head in the short term based on these technicals.
And the overall vibe from the source. Well, Bitcoin seems to be losing some steam, at least short term.
Right. And the altcoins. It's a bit of a mixed bag, some new warnings popping up, some maybe hints of relief.
So the big question hanging there is this just a breather or something more serious? Let's get into it, starting with the big one, Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Okay, Bitcoin, looking at the bigger picture first, those larger time frames.
What do they show?
Well, the 4-day super trend indicator is actually still green. So technically the analysis says that larger bullish trend is holding. For now.
Okay, some comfort there maybe. But the weekly chart got a lot of attention in the analysis, didn't it?
It really did. And that's where you start seeing the momentum shift much more clearly.
How so?
The weekly MACD, it's still technically bullish, no bearish cross yet, but it is definitely slowing down.
Losing power.
Yeah, and the analysis pointed out how similar this looks to mid-March 2024. And remember what happened then? A pretty noticeable slowdown in the bull run.
Right. So even without the cross, the weakening momentum itself is a signal.
Precisely. It's waning hard on that weekly scale.
And that connects to this potentially big warning signal. The analysis flagged a possible weekly bearish divergence.
Yes, this is super interesting and potentially just hours away from an initial signal.
Explain that divergence again.
Okay, so it's when the price itself makes confirmed higher highs looking at weekly candle closes, but the weekly RSI indicator makes lower highs. They're diverging, moving apart.
And the analysis said we might get a first signal soon.
Could be. If this next weekly candle closes red, especially if it's a bearish engulfing candle, the analysis suggests that could be signal number one.
Just one signal, though. I thought the analysis usually wants two confirmations for something this big.
That's spot on. Typically, you want 2 weekly candle closes to really confirm it. So, yeah, full confirmation might still be another week away.
But even that first hint is significant.
Definitely. It's a strong warning. And what it suggests isn't necessarily, a 2022-style bear market crash. More like what we saw maybe January 2024 or July 2023. The signal points towards a potential larger slowdown, maybe a significant pullback within the broader uptrend. Not the end of the world, but a serious correction.
Okay, so long-term trend holding, but weekly momentum fading fast, with a potential major warning signal brewing. How do the shorter timeframes look? Do they back this up?
They absolutely reinforce this picture of losing steam. The 3-day MACD also slowing down quite a bit, getting closer to maybe crossing bearishly.
Another confirmation of that loss of bullish power.
Exactly, layer upon layer.
Although the analysis did make a point about the daily chart. Technically, still bullish. Higher lows, higher highs.
Yeah, for now. That's the key phrase. The bullish structure on the daily chart isn't actually broken yet.
Yeah.
So there's still, a technical hope for the bulls.
But the momentum signals are mostly pointing down.
Overwhelmingly, yes.
Yeah.
Across the weekly, the 3-day, the momentum driving that daily trend seems to be drying up fast.
And haven't we already seen a shorter-term bearish signal confirm and play out? The 12-hour one?
Exactly. That 12-hour bearish divergence, it confirmed about a week ago. And you can see its influence on the price since then.
Still active.
Yeah, the 12-hour RSI is still trending bearishly. So this signal is still kind of weighing on things. It doesn't scream massive crash, but it does suggest weakness. Don't expect big bullish moves anytime soon, according to this signal. It fits the bigger picture.
Okay, with all this weakness percolating, what are the really critical price levels the analysis pointed to? Where should you be watching?
All right, key levels. Major daily support is pegged around 102,000. That's the big one down below.
And resistance, if it tries to bounce.
Resistance near 105,000 to 106,000. Then bigger hurdles at 110,000 and around 112,000.
And the absolute line in the sand, the level that, if it breaks, really signals a bigger shift.
That's the 101,000 to 102,000 zone. The analysis was pretty clear. If daily candles start closing decisively below 101K or 102K, that's a major change in price structure.
Reversing the trend.
Potentially reversing that short and medium-term bullish trend, yeah. And if that happens, the analysis suggests a likely drop towards the 96,000 to 98,000 area next.
Wow. Okay. So putting it all together for the immediate short term, like heading into the weekend.
Expect the weakness to continue playing out. Probably see price just kind of grind sideways, maybe around that 102K support.
Why sideways?
Well, the signals are bearish, but price seems to be struggling to just fall off a cliff right now. And weekends often mean lower volume, less decisive moves. So sideways chop is likely.
Any other clues for the weekend?
The analysis mentioned the liquidation heat map. It shows liquidity, basically, stop losses and liquidation levels building up just below the current price, around 103,000.
Suggesting price might dip to grab that.
Very likely, yeah. A test down to 103K seems probable to take out those positions.
And then maybe a bigger move next week.
That's the expectation. Look for volatility to maybe pick up perhaps a more decisive move Monday or Tuesday when the stock market's open and full volume returns.
Okay, so Bitcoin's flashing some pretty clear cautionary signals about momentum. Let's switch to Ethereum. Is it under the same kind of pressure, or is it telling a different story?
Ethereum has been a bit different lately. More neutral, maybe.
Neutral how?
On the daily chart, it's basically just been bouncing between support and resistance, stuck in a sideways range for, what, a week or two now?
So not much clear direction there.
Exactly. The short-term expectation is kind of a lack of momentum either way, just range-bound, stuck in the mud a bit.
What are the key levels defining that range for ETH?
Okay, resistance looks pretty strong, between roughly 2.7K and 2.8K. To get really bullish and aim for that next Fed level around 3.2K, 3.3K, you'd need confirmed candle closes above 2.8K.
And support.
Support around 2.4K. And based on the recent lows, there's some short-term support right around 2460 to 2470.
Interesting, because even with that sideways daily action, the analysis found a bearish signal on a shorter time frame, right?
That's it, so you got to zoom in sometimes.
Huh?
A couple of days ago, there was a confirmed breakdown out of a triangle pattern. This was on the 6-hour chart.
And that triggered something.
It activated a short-term bearish price target specifically from that pattern break. Target is down around 2250.
So even while chopping sideways overall, a smaller pattern pointed down.
Precisely. Price already dropped, what, 2-3% from the breakdown? Maybe 4-5% to the low point?
But there's still more potential downside according to that target.
The analysis suggested there's still potentially another maybe 10% move down towards that 2250 target measured from the current price.
But it might not be a straight line down.
Oh, definitely not. Remember those support levels we mentioned, like 2470 and just under 2.4K? Those are between here and the target. Price could easily bounce off those.
Makes sense. And how would that specific 6-hour bearish target get canceled out?
Good question. The invalidation point would be if ETH manages to break back above where it broke down from. So back above roughly 2.6K with candle closes holding up there. That would basically negate that specific bearish target.
Fascinating how those shorter patterns can give clues even when the big picture is just sideways.
Okay, let's shift again. Solana. SOL had been looking pretty weak according to the analysis, but maybe something's changing.
Yeah, Solana had definitely been lacking bullish momentum. It was looking, more bearish than bullish overall.
What were the signs?
It formed a clear bearish price structure, broke some key support levels, made a lower low. That's usually a strong bearish signal.
And didn't the analysis mention a previous bearish target that actually hit?
It did, yeah. Spot on, actually. The price came down and tagged that short-term bearish target perfectly.
Like clockwork.
Pretty much. And the analysis used it as an example, right? Showing how technicals can pinpoint opportunities even in a downtrend. Mentioned like an 11% potential move or way more with leverage if someone shorted it.
Proof that charts can work both ways. But you said something might be changing. A new signal for SOL.
Yes, exactly. This is where things get dynamic. Now, the analysis is pointing to a bullish divergence starting to confirm. Shorter term on the 4-hour chart.
Okay, bullish divergence. Opposite of the bearish one we talked about for Bitcoin.
Exactly the opposite. You're seeing lower lows in the price itself, confirmed by candle closes, but the 4-hour RSI indicator is making higher lows, price down, indicators starting to creep up.
And what does that typically signal, especially after a drop like Solana had?
It usually signals a likely break from that immediate bearish price action. It suggests we're probably going to see a bit of relief short term, maybe the next day or two.
Relief like a big pump.
Not necessarily. That's really key. Just like a bearish divergence doesn't guarantee a crash, a bullish divergence doesn't guarantee a moonshot. It's more about a change in momentum.
So maybe just sideways chop or a small bounce.
Yeah.
Breaking the fall.
Exactly. It suggests the bearish momentum is likely interrupted. Could be a small bounce, could just be consolidation, but it's a break from the constant downward pressure.
Okay, interesting shift there. So with this potential relief, what are the key levels for Solana now?
All right, resistance levels to watch are